So it's an honor for me to be here. I am Pasi Tunji. I am Senior Communication and Public Relations Officer at Climate Action Africa, and I am going to be your host for today. So we are going to take a break before I continue introducing the rest of our panelists here. Before I even introduce our keynote speaker, we are going to take the national anthem.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians old and proud to serve our sovereign motherland.
Cecilia Kunithia Chenga is the Director of Intergovernmental Support and Collective Progress Division at the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC. In this role, she supports the Executive Secretary in ensuring a transparent and inclusive environment for global climate negotiations. Cecilia oversees support for the governing and subsidiary bodies of the Convention, the Kyoto Protocol, and the Paris Agreement, ensuring coherence and consistency in their work. She also leads efforts on collective progress, collaborating with the IPCC to provide scientific support for climate action. Before joining UNFCCC, Cecilia served as the head of sub-regional office and regional program director for Southern Africa and the United Nations Environment Program, UNEP, where she focused on environmental sustainability and climate change. She also worked at the UN Habitat as a human settlement officer. Cecilia holds a PhD in urban planning from Chalmers University of Technology and a master's in administration or MA in urban regional planning from the University of Nairobi. Please let's all warmly welcome Mrs. Cecilia Kinuthia Jenga. While we wait for Ms. Cecilia to join us, I am going to introduce our moderator for today, who is our high esteemed Ms. Princess Marini.
Hello and good afternoon. Thank you so much, Ms. Passy, for that introduction. I would also like to welcome each and every one of our esteemed panelists. I hope you're able to hear me. I'm sorry, Passy, am I audible?
Yes, you are. And I was about to tell our panelists a little bit more about you while we wait for Julia.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead. Thank you.
So, introducing Ms. Princess Marini, an international presenter, a climate change communicator, a youth advocate, and an artist. She began her journey at 10, winning the Vision of the Child literary competition. Since then, she has co-created impactful initiatives like the Corruption Buster Project and African Identity, 9 seasons of Wole Soyinka, which toured Europe and Nigeria. Princess starred in the award-winning film Trapped, screened at the United Nations in New York, and uses her voice for climate advocacy through CYCDI Solution 17. She has shared stages with dignitaries like the Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka and former Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode. A fashion designer and founder of PDM Design, Princess is also an alumna of the XB Climate Advocates Fellowship. She has hosted events such as PreCOP 26 and Youth for Climate, with her art recently showcased at COP 28 in Dubai. Her work in the art, culture, and environment advocacy reflects her commitment to global change and youth empowerment. I want you to feel how excited we are to have Princess Marini amongst us today, and she's going to be our host. She's going to be the one introducing all the great and high esteemed panelists and speakers that we have here today. So please, let's all warmly welcome Princess Marini. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Fassi, for that introduction. really an honor to be a part of this very amazing initiative. I mean, Climate Action Africa, that's really huge. And to have our panelists coming from different states in Nigeria representing that is really amazing to see. Thank you. Um, should I go ahead with the introduction of our panelists, or should we also, go ahead to wait for Miss Cecilia?
Yes, please. We are going to go ahead and introduce our panelists while we wait for Mrs. Cecilia when she'll be able to join us.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me just shortly introduce our wonderful panelists here with us today. Um, so, like I said, we would be have our three panelists are from various states in Nigeria. Um, and I think it's also wonderful to see that from the three main tribes of Nigeria, which encompasses our entire nation. Our first speaker in our panel today is Mr. Omar Saleh Anka, who is the Director for Environment and Climate Change in the Kano State Watershed and Climate Change Agency. And he also served as the national focal point for the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, that's UNFCCC in Nigeria. Yes, he's a passionate environmental sustainability expert with a strong focus on climate change policy, natural resources, environment and management, and social well-being. He also has a master's in science in natural resource management and climate change, and as well as another in environmental management. And Mr. Omar is currently pursuing a PhD in natural resource management and climate change at Bayero University, Kano. This is such an extensive profile and it's very impressive. Yes, and Mr. Omar has over 8 years of experience in the environmental and social safeguards, contributing to projects such as the World Bank Trimming Project. His work has also led to significant advancements in sustainable agricultural practices, gender-based violence reduction, and integrated pest and waste management initiatives. Please let's give a round of applause for Mr. Omar Saleh Anka. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today on this panel. Thank you, sir, for joining us today. Yes, our second panelist of today, we have Mr. Chris Onyekachi Ike, and he is the current and pioneer of the Director of Climate Change in the Abia State Ministry for Environment. He's an expert in climate change governance and also in designing climate change mitigation and adaptation strategies. He is vast in deploying forest resources for ecological solutions and in mitigating climate change. He also has more than 26 years experience in the civil service and has been involved in several national and international climate change programs and workshops targeted at gender mainstreaming, inclusive climate action, greenhouse gas inventories, carbon trading, clean cooking, and energy transition plans, and so much more. He's also a member of several national and international professional organizations, including the Forestry Organization of Nigeria, the Nigerian Environmental Society, the Nigerian Environmental Study Action Team, and several others. Please a round of applause once again for Mr. Chris Ike. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us and also for making our time out of your busy schedule. We are honored to have you here, sir. Thank you. And our third panelist for today is Mr. Akinola Babatunde Peter. He is the current Director of Climate Change and Nature Conservation at the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources at Go Ekiti. He also has over 25 years of experience in space sciences with a focus on geographic information systems and remote sensing. Throughout his career, he has been actively involved in climate change programs in various countries, including Spain, Saudi Arabia, Ghana, Korea, and other European nations. Additionally, he has served as the co-chair for the Working Group on Climate Change for the Group on Earth Observation in Geneva, Switzerland. Mr. Babatunde holds both basic and advanced certifications in disaster management from the United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs. A round of applause for Mr. Akinola Babatunde Peters. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. We are honored to have you. And yes, that is our wonderful panel for today. And I can't wait to be moderating this session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Princess, for this beautiful introductions of our panelists. I would like to find out from Diana if Mrs. Cecilia has made any progress on her technical issues.
Um, like, hi, thank you so much, Princess Marine and Pasi, for following up with with the panelist introduction, and I am in constant contact with Cecilia, but she's expressing me right now that she's still having some technical difficulties. So I think she will join, but I might to let you decide how you like to proceed. She's
All right.
she's texting, but they somehow the internet connection is not working for
Okay,
video
we
call.
understand. We understand. So at this point, we are going to move on with the session. We are going to move on with the conversations, and she's free to join us at any moment. We will be honored to have her and to have her address us during this webinar. So please let her sort it out. We are here. We are going to move on with the program, and she can join us at any moment. Princess Mahini, please, you can go on with your session. This is yours. We are following your lead. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Patty, for that. Um, we can't wait to actually let's hear from Mrs. Cecilia. So yes, I would go right ahead to our panel session for today. Let me just give a little brief background on what our session is all about today for those who are joining us virtually, our audience. Yes. So Nigeria has been in taking proactive steps to address climate change. That has been one of our agendas, even in both in the federal, state, and local level. We have several Nigerian Climate Change Council, the NCCC, and also the creation of climate change departments state levels. At state levels. So yes, the recent 2024 Climate Governance Performance Ranking Report, which was launched by the Society for Planet and Prosperity in collaboration with the Ministry of Environment, showcased several performances by the 36 states in Nigeria. And Lagos, and several other states have actually come up as the top, demonstrating significant progress in institutional arrangement and project implementation. And that is why we are here today to listen from our key stakeholders from several states. Yes, because this progress, while commendable, it needs the dialogue needs to continue in order to enhance climate action at the subnational level. And that is why we are talking about leave no one behind and also trying to trace the sustainability and the consistency of our progress. So we would be having about 4 to 5 questions and for our panelists with each of our key stakeholders here answering them. And I just want to give a heads up to our panelists that each of the questions should please, the answers should please take 3 minutes per question because of our timing. once it surpasses 3 minutes, I would actually be taking over the mic in order for us to continue with our conversation. We have several interesting questions right here, and I would like to please start with our stakeholder directly from the north, Mr. Umar Saleh Anka. So the first question is for you, and like I said, the answers should be cultural fit, please. In the climate governance performance ranking, your state institutional arrangement played a key role in its performance. Could you please? Okay, I just got a message from our or in our in chat messages. Please, could we mute our mics? Please, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So yes, Mr. Omar, yes, could you please provide specific examples on how your state governance actually, state governance structures have enabled climate action, and what evidence or data supports these impacts in these institutional arrangements? Also, what barriers have you encountered? Because I'm very sure when implementing all our solutions, it's of course there are going to be some barriers, especially living in Nigeria. So yes, sir, could you please tell us what barriers you've encountered and also what measures has been effective in overcoming them? Thank you very much.
One of the greatest challenge we have at subnational level is even understanding the cross-cutting roles between agencies that are responsible for, let's say, my agency. It's a Watershed Erosion and Climate Change Management Agency. And we have the Kano State Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, all under the same ministry. So sometimes those cross-cutting roles are one of the, let me start with the barriers, because sometimes the ministry may see an agency being a kind of too proactive, especially in terms of policy. Like my agency is the one that has the mandate to initiate the issue of policy. So that alone is one of the critical barriers, understanding the cross-cutting roles, and even among the officers trying to understand the role of, let's say, Director Climate Change, Director Pollution, and Director Environmental Conservation. You see, these three are the three pivotal departments that are supposed to work in synergy, seeing that forestry is one key point that stored carbon, and of course, they are the lungs of the forest, and of course, they are very important. And now looking at the pollution department too is very critical. So Director Environment and Climate Change would have to understand that he alone cannot work as a Director for Climate Change, because let me give an example. The greenhouse gas emission transparency report for Nigeria. You see that it even goes beyond working with Ministry of Environment. You have to work with Ministry of Land, you have to work with Ministry of Agriculture. So those kind of things, and water resources, livestock, so that you'll be able to come up with standard data. So I think thanks to FCDO that came up with a new project, Nigeria Climate Governance Climate Change, probably under Partnership Reform Learn and Engage project for Kano, Jigawa, and Kaduna, which of course will continue to shape our thinking of the executives and knowing fully the role of civil servants. Because sometimes the executives used to see all political appointees, and I'm sorry to say, this is an enlightenment session. used to see the technocrats as a threat, as you being proactive. Because for an institutional memory, civil servants are supposed to actually be the custodian of all those documents and doing things, because a political appointee may be changed. He can be transferred to another office, or took another appointment, or decided to step down. So for us as technical staff, we normally see this is our own, and we look probably at the state first. So those sometimes used to be a bottleneck for us. They will see it as a kind of an insubordination, or you trying to be pretend to be the experts. And well, that's why the climate change governance is very, very important. So it's they should understand that it's a bottom-up approach, because we go and collect the data and work with, even if it is a community, you work with the community. So I think this is very important. This webinar, that I would always advise that they should try as much as possible to be bringing the political appointees on board, so that they would we can interface together, and they will probably understand our plights. Sometimes we do it just to make sure that, because we are putting the state first before any other thing.
Yes, sir. Thank you very, very much. And it is so true, the importance of CSOs in every ministry and organization actually work, because you're so right. Political appointees could be moved from in 2 years or in 3 years, depending on their timeline. But the CSOs are actually the heart of every organization in Nigeria, because of the documents that needs to be kept. Thank you so much, sir, for that. And I'll be moving on to Mr. Chris Ike. Yes, sir. So let me just give a little brief. That the next 3 questions that would actually be asking are general questions that I would actually like to hear from each of the states. So yes, sir, Mr. Chris, the same question applies to you too. Could you please provide specific examples of how your state governance structure actually enabled climate action, and also what barriers have you encountered in enhancing institutional capacity for climate action, and what measures have actually been put in place? Thank you, sir. Sorry, sir, you're muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, thank you very much, Climate Action Africa State, to this monthly webinar. I want to say that Abia State Department of Climate Change was set up by the government of Dr. Alex Shomoti in September 2023 with about 5 units. The units are the greenhouse gas inventory unit, the mitigation unit, the vulnerability and adaptation unit, the awareness and education unit, and a climate change store. That's to tell you that it's a new department. Before now, it was not in existence, but our sterling governor came in and felt that climate change should be domesticated in Abia State. And he domesticated this department and made it functional. So climate change has been running smoothly in Abia State with being factored into all the national programs that have been held since the commencement of this department. Yes, challenges in capacity building, being a new department, people were plugged in from several other departments in the Ministry of Environment to populate the Department of Climate Change. Although scientific officers, environmental health officers, some other technical people that have expertise that are cross-cutting and have something to do with climate change. So we brought these people to be part of the department when it was set up, and they've been doing pretty well. Challenges of capacity building is there because it's a new department. Some people, they don't have all it takes to drive the various units Some are doing so well, but we needed to develop the capacity of others so that they can do better. So that's the capacity gap that we had. That's the challenges. What we have done to mitigate those challenges are that we have always passed through the Honorable Commissioner of Environment to get our governor, who always listens to issues of climate change and understands the importance of climate change and sees it as an issue of concern that affects our state, because it's a global issue, but Abia has a take in it. So we go to our governor, we plead with him to attend workshops and seminars for some key staff of this department. He obliges us. In fact, there is no time we have gone to him asking for approvals to attend one workshop or the other that he has not approved. That's to tell you that our governor is interested in building the capacity of the staff of the Department of Climate Change. He has also demonstrated that when he recently appointed a special advisor on climate change, Mrs. Choma Estaja. The essence is also come to help build the capacity of already existing staff in the Department of Climate Change. These and a lot of things are, the things we have done to, try to sort out some of the challenges we have in terms of technical capacity. Yes, we have also leveraged on the NGOs. We have a lot of NGOs we are working with on climate change here in Abia State, and we've gotten them to organize workshops and training for our staff, and they do. Special commendation to the Center for Citizens with Disabilities and FENRAD. Some of them, we've gotten them because we discovered that government cannot do it alone. There are a lot of other organizations that have been playing in the climate change space. We have spoken to them and gotten them to, organize some training and some sort of capacity building for our staff. And they have done that. And we've sent some of our staff to attend those training. And that has really built their capacity. That's what I can say for that on those areas. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for that. And I must actually commend Abia State for what they've been doing. I personally had an interview with Dr. Alex Uti, and then he had a lot of initiatives that he was thinking about. And I think that's one key thing that I can say that we can take away from here, having people in the place of governance who actually understand the importance of climate change, Nigeria in general, because climate change is something that, regardless of what we want to say, affects each and every one of us across several states, communities, local governments. Because if we can see, it rains heavily. The climate crisis Nigeria is currently going into is very heavy. And then, and I'm so glad that we have that. Also, the aspect of capacity building too for each and every sector is really important. Thank you so much, sir, for that. I'll be moving on to Mr. Akinola Babatunde, sir. The same question applies to you too. Could you please let us know the specific examples that your state governance structure has implemented, the barriers you've actually experienced, and what measures you have taken? Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Climate Action Africa. You are welcome on board. This is Ekiti State. In Ekiti State, the climate change department was created by the government of Ekiti State, and it was established by law. Then we have the Department of Climate Change as a full-fledged department, not as a unit. Now, apart from this, the present government of Ekiti State, I want to tell you, is having a passion for climate change in the area of capacity building. Some of our staff are undergoing training and regular training and retraining. Then a lot of activities is taking place in Ekiti State in line with Agenda 13, the climate action, the Agenda 13 of the Sustainable Development Goal of United Nations. So one of those activities we are doing presently is number one is in the area of afforestation. In the area of afforestation, the Ekiti state government now targeting about 2 million trees for this year in order to mitigate the effect of climate change, that is to ensure carbon sink. So in line with this, presently now, in most of within the state capital and other suburb, the state government has started planting trees in order to ensure the carbon sink. Then apart from that, the issue of grazing, is now being addressed. The state government has set up anti-grazing stop to mitigate, that is to check overgrazing. And apart from that, in the area of environmental degradation, the area of in the area of this environmental degradation occasioned by flood, the state government, the department, and the other agencies like SEPA, the State Environmental Protection Agency, because we have most of these agencies with synergies together. We have a Forestry Commission, we have State Environmental Protection Agency, then we have the Ekiti State Waste Management Authority. Then in the areas of flooding, the state government is doing a lot, because presently now there's no recorded cases of flood in Ekiti, because presently the State Environmental Protection Agency has embarked on desiltation of the canals and water channel across the state in order to forestall the effect of flooding. Then apart from that, we have also in the Department of Climate Change, we have also we are trying to reach out to extend, as an apostle of climate change, to extend this desert to the people at the grassroots, the vulnerable, I mean the vulnerable people at the grassroots. Number one, we are trying to set up climate change club in schools, just as a means of cast them young, to make students aware of the effect of the climate change. Then in the area of emission control, all this the SEPA also, they are trying in the area of this carbon, this emission reduction, in the area of emission reduction. Then apart from that, in the area of waste, which this particular waste lead to emission of methane and other methane, nitrous gas and other gases like chlorofluorocarbon. So all these yes, we are trying to reduce this thing up to the barest minimum. Recently, the state government recently procured a dino beans station at a strategic place in order to minimize to ensure proper waste disposal in the state. Then apart from that, we have also appointed desk officer. We have desk officer in various departments, MDA department, agency in the state. Then we have most of the challenges we have now. Although we are trying to partner with other agencies like other government agencies like Federal Ministry of Environment, because we do attend and participate in their in all their meetings, to deliberate on the way out of this impact of climate change. In 2022, the state happened to be part of the climate change delegate. I happen to be one of the delegates to the COP 2027 that took place in South Africa.
Wow.
Yes, this year again, and I believe that the type of commissioner we have, the type of governor we have, they are listening time. In the recent performance ranking report, Ekiti State was rated number 4 out of the 36 states. And apart from that, my honorable commissioner was recently appointed as the chairperson of all commissioner for environment in the country. So most of these challenges, let me talk about the challenges we are having. Most of the challenges we are having.
So sorry to cut you off, sir. We had actually passed the time slot for that. But then funny enough, the questions that what you had actually answered, I think answers to the next question that I was even about to, the next round of questions that I was even about to ask. I can even say that I know Ekiti State is known for their agroforestry. Agroforestry, you have strings of trees going about acres. I was even aware of the initiative that was brought up by the governor. So it is really amazing to see what Ekiti is doing in that. Thank you so much, sir. So I'll be going ahead to our next question, which I'll be handing over the mic to Mr. Chris Ike. Yes, just like what Ms. Lakinola has actually stated. So the question I actually wanted to ask was that I wanted to know specific climate initiatives and all projects that your state has actually implemented. I know you've mentioned some before. I just wanted to be a little bit more specific. And I'm sure that that even with those projects, there are some monitoring and control that has been put in place. But I also like to know like what measurable results have you gotten so far from them, and also what mechanisms have been put in place to ensure the innovations are both scalable and sustainable over time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you once more, Princess Marine, for your guidance. Yes, we have done a lot to mitigate and to make sure that our people are properly adapted to the issues of climate change. We are using bioremediation in our erosion control, meaning that we don't just try to use mechanical engineering structures to control erosion in Abia State. We try to bring in the use of trees to firm the size of wherever we have done some erosion control works. You know, that's to make sure that those places grow up to become green areas. That's the way we are trying to, a program we are trying to do, factoring all those things in to make sure that climate change is properly mitigated in Abia State. Now, we are also doing an urban beautification program in Aba and Umuahia. The essence of that program is to line up, those cities with species that some sort of buffer, a green belt that will sequester carbon and other greenhouse gases anyway, coming from those commercial cities of Umuahia and Aba. And it's ongoing. Those are some of the plans that we put in place to handle and tackle the issue of climate change in Abia State. Because these trees are selected, to sequester carbon out of the environment, minimizing, the effect that greenhouse gases puts to our environment. One thing we have tried to do is that we have tried to, do a climate change stakeholder engagement. That's another climate action. The sense is to, frame international practices to the policy and action plan. Abia doesn't have one, but with the coming of His Excellency and with his direction, we felt we should have a plan. Because you cannot be doing climate action without having a direction. You should have a direction. You should have a roadmap. And we brought in stakeholders, people from the academia, people that have done some sort of, patches of research on climate change. They were there. We brought in people from the organized private sector. We brought in people, international development partners spoke into the event. We brought in people, we brought in students, we brought in farmers, we brought in people from the energy sector. We brought in people from the FOLU sector, the agriculture, the forestry, and other land uses. They were involved. We brought in market women, So it was a holistic thing. It held at the International Conference Center here in Umuahia. It was to define our, communicate coming out from that engagement, to define our trajectory, to develop a climate change policy and action plan. That we say, everybody, I'm supposed to do this, I'm supposed to do that. All the line ministries on climate change, we have about 9 line ministries on climate change. The Ministry of Environment is just the coordinating ministry. They all sent in representatives. NGOs were there, people with disability were there, or people, the deaf and dumb. What we try to do, because, whenever there are issues of climate change, the most vulnerable are those, the disabled, those critical groups. We try to bring policy and climate and climate action plans, they will be factored into the program. They will make their voices heard through the policy. So those are some of the actionable things we have done. You said monitoring. Yes, we are doing some monitoring. Like some of the project size I have enumerated before now are being monitored by the Ministry of Environment. We have a Department of Planning, Research and Statistics. They do a monitoring. And we also have a monitoring and evaluation unit of the government house in Omahia. They go around to monitor these projects to make sure that climate projects are implemented, that money spent, they are spent very well and they are deployed to what we said they will achieve. So there is a proper monitoring structure to monitor these projects to ensure that they are properly implemented. Yes, we are doing all of that, So we are also, I want to tell you this, we are also raising a tree nursery about a 5,000 plan, a 5,000 tree nursery plan per year. That means, we are scaling it up, but, we just started and we are developing a tree nursery that will be able to service some of those projects. We don't want to do some reforestation program and afforestation program and we'll be buying trees from outside. We have a forestry department, Ministry of Environment, we have silviculture. So we felt that they should be able to have a tree nursery. We developed that where they raise tree nursery that's delivers to these projects. So that's part of what we are doing and we continue to do. In fact, the plan is to scale up the amount of tree seedlings produced in the nursery because the projects are just coming here and there and we need to service them. So that's what we are doing.
Wow, thank you very much, sir, for those initiatives.
Can you hear me? And the beautification the beautification we are doing in Abia and Omahia, and the bioremediation we are doing on our erosion site using trees, they have increased the microclimatic ambience of Abia State. They have increased the beauty because we are transiting to a green economy. We want our cities to look beautiful. That's the direction that's our governance manifesto to give us a sustainable environment that is habitable for all Abians. So that's what we are pursuing in line with the government manifesto. That's part of the things we have done and continue to do in Abia State. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. Actually, yes, this is very, very impressive to hear that you're the 5,000 tree nursery per year. It's a really, really great initiative. Instead of going to import trees from other states or countries, actually, but then having a tree nursery right there in your state is really, really impressive. Thank you very, very much for that. I'll be going on to Mr. Akinola Baba today. Yes, and same question. You had actually even told us some of the initiatives that have been in place in Ekiti State. Yes, just keeping it short this time around. Could you please just let us a few more specific initiatives that have been put in place in your state, and also the monitoring and control, implementation also in those initiatives.
Look, in Ekiti State now, we have a lot of mayors that has now been put in place by the government of Ekiti State. One, I've just itemized them. One is waste to wet. We have embarked on waste to west program. Waste to west. Then recycling of this plastic waste. Then in the area of afforestation, the state government and the forestry commission, they have embarked on planting. Even they issue out trees free of charge, distribution of tree free of charge for people to go on to go and plant, so as to reclaim our land from desertification. Then apart from that, you look at our governor. Our amiable governor is one of the listening governor, and my amiable honorable commissioner. So you could believe the governor of Ekiti State appointed a special advisor on a special advisor on climate change. He also has a special advisor on green economy and environment. And in the area of desilting, the flood control, the new map in Ekiti State, and the SEPA, they are on grant. Then, apart from that, in the area of diversification of energy, that is from converting from non-renewable to renewable energy, the state government also distributed the embark on distribution of a clean stove for the vulnerable one. Then, apart from that, we realize that women are the most vulnerable to the impact of climate change. So the state government has started empowering some empowerment program to cushion the effect of this climate change. Then, apart from that, in the area of when you see the major street in Ado now, it has been decorated with ornamental trees. These trees also add to the aesthetic enhancement of the environment, and apart from that, it also acts as a carbon sink. Then, apart from that, they have in the Department of Climate Change, we are planning to establish a botanical garden to cater for this green the seedling to be distributed to people at a subsidized rate. Then, aside that, we have in the area of waste, management. The state is trying the best. The dyno-based and dyno truck has been acquired. Then, in the area of meteorology, I want to tell you, the state has just completed another set of synoptic meteorological station to help in weather forecasting, so that we can, from there, any information obtained from there, we can use it to advise farmer and to guide. That one will also be a prevention against the impact of climate change. Then we also set up climate desk officer in all the ministries and departments and agencies in the state. Then, apart from that, then we have also synergized with other NGOs like TJED, then another like USAID, United States Agency for International Development. So then we are still looking forward to other partnerships so that we can be on the same page with other states. Recently, the Honorable Commissioner for Environment, Ekiti State, led a delegation to Lagos State, Minister of Environment. So in that time, we were able to synergize, they were able to collaborate on some issues, which is now under implementation. Thank you.
Princess Marine, we can't hear you.
No?
You've been talking for a minute now, but we can't hear you.
Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, now you are.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for letting me know. I had no idea. I was actually saying, what I was actually saying was that that what caught my attention was from what Mr. Akinola was saying was the weather forecasting that is going to be implemented in Ekiti. That, as we all know, Nigeria is going through food insecurity, which is really a very huge impact on Nigeria generally, not just in the south or in the east or in the north. It's affecting all of us. And having that is really amazing to have in Nigeria. Thank you so much, sir, for that. I'll be moving on to Mr. Omar Saleh and Kasa. I noticed that you had a little bit of connectivity issues, but thank you so much for being able to join us, joining this conversation. The question that has been asked was could we please know specific climate initiatives or projects that your state has actually implemented, which you would actually consider innovative? And also, could you please let us know the monitoring and control measures that has been put in place to make sure that the innovations are both scalable and sustainable for time? Yes, sir. Could we could we please remember to keep our answers to 3 minutes? Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. And once again, I want to apologize for the background noise. I told you okay, basically, looking at our rating, the state rating ranking on climate change governance, of course, we know that we have lot of issues, but we have a lot of projects and programs that are interesting with clear M&E framework on it. One, let me tell you that the Kano State Governor has graciously approved a program for Kano State Watershed Erosion and Climate Change Management Agency to establish a kind of climate change clubs across the 44 local governments. In one of the board members that we have, Ministry of Education is not part of it. So we were able to bring on board State Ministry of Education. Because of this project, we have Catch Them Young to set up climate change clubs across the 44 local governments. And we're starting with about 100 secondary schools in the states. So, and UNICEF is also interested in joining us because of their role in on issue of children. So I think, secondly, we are targeting 2 million hectares of land to kind of set up farmer-managed natural regeneration, where a local farmer would be given an incentive to plant a tree within his own farmland and take care of it. I think we have so far covered more than 20 communities with a target of about 20,000 hectares across the each what do you call it, a kind of cross cluster, where if we could have a cluster where a neighboring farmlands have space like three or four farmlands, we'll be able to mount what do you call it, a borehole, sink a borehole for them, so that it will encourage them in while we are looking at indigenous trees that are non-irrigated indigenous trees. But what we intend doing now is to have an orchard around, so that for immediate benefits, sometimes they don't see the benefit of planting trees immediately. So we intend to provide plantations around some low level grounds, so where they can reap the benefit immediately while taking care of the trees that we planted. So, and of course, the establishment of Kano State Watershed Erosion and Climate Change Management Agency is also a testimony. And the releases that the state governor is doing to Acrisal project, which is also a kind of a component where we're supporting issues of climate change with it. So in fact, now there are lines of activities. Of course, we are in a semi-arid region. Climate change, of course, is in us. So Pollution Control Department has been empowered to, a number of gadgets have been put in place there with huge amount of money, so that the tracking of GHG gases would be in place. And even though our ranking is low, my colleague from Inugu would be testify to the fact that we've submitted our report on greenhouse gas transparency report. So I think the state government is very willing to support the climate change activities. Sorry, just bear with me, please. So,
No problem, sir.
sorry. I'm sorry for that. So, just to, I think I've run it up. Just to let you know that there's a special assistant on climate change that has recently been appointed by the Kano State Governor. So it's also to show that Kano State government is now up and doing, especially with this issue of our ranking. So the state governor asked questions around that. And I want to tell you that when I assumed office in October as the director of climate change, we realized that there's no climate change policy for Kano State. So immediately we kickstarted the process, and now just to let you know that we have a clean copy and probably a final draft that by probably next week we are going on a retreat in collaboration with UNICEF, FCDO, to clean up the climate change policy, which we have started. We had the first stakeholders engagement. We had the second stakeholders engagement. So I think with that, the state governor is interested in seeing that we have a climate change policy for us to enable us have a climate change action plan, with which without the policy, I don't think we can even have that. So having that climate change policy alone, I think is a milestone that we feel the stepping stone to making sure that we've gotten a good and clear position on direction on what to do with the climate change issues. Excuse me.
Thank you very much.
And we look at agriculture, forest and other land uses, energy, health, industry, flooding and erosion, urban development, transport, waste management, and water. So actually, we submitted our draft copy to National Council on Climate Change. I invited the DG. She participated fully in the stakeholders engagement for Kano State. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for that, sir. And we are happy that Kano State is finally implementing those climate initiatives and projects to actually push the state forward. And we definitely know that Kano will soon be among the rankings because of how fast everything is actually going in your state. I just want to say very big congratulations, sir, for being able to even bring out that draft and to even be able to think about implementing it. It's a huge success, actually, for not just you, for us here in Nigeria. Thank you once again for even being able to join us. I understand the sacrifice you're actually making to join us here in our monthly webinar. Thank you very much. And I'll be going on to the third question. And I would actually be starting this time around with Mr. Babatunde Akinola. Yes, the question actually states, how has your state climate policy evolved in relation to federal policies? Now we're moving from the state level now onto the federal level, and also what specific areas of federal guidance has had the greatest influence on your state initiative? Yes, and also conversely, in what ways has your state actually influenced federal climate policies or the initiatives of neighboring states? I remember you saying that your governor has actually even said that the state is actually free to sell tree nurseries to other states. So yes, sir. So could you just please shed a little bit more light on how the federal policies have evolved your state climate policy? Thank you.
Thank you. In terms of evolving the federal policy, I want to assure you that the state government, the Department of Climate Change, has No, climate change itself has no boundary. It has no boundary. So we have been synergizing with the Federal Ministry of Environment, particularly the Department of Climate Change and the Department of Desertification. So we have participated actively in most of the workshops and most of the training organized by the Federal Ministry of Environment, particularly the Department of Climate Change. Recently, the state joint was among those states that work on the biennial transparency report, BTR1, both BTR1 and BTR2. Then we have we also participated in the national communication. Then, apart from that, the state government is having in the state of in the State House of Assembly. We have a environment committee on environment, and apart from that, then we are getting some in line with the federal government policy. We are trying to do land cover, land changes of Ekiti for the past 10 years to be able to arrive at some conclusion. Then apart from that, we have in the area of desertification, desert encroachment. When you look at the northern part of the state, you know there's a farmer header crisis occasion as a result of what climate change. The state government is taking action to address it through the Department of Climate Change. And aside that, we have we have been organized. We have been attending workshops and training organized by the Federal Ministry of Environment and other agencies like United Nations Development Program on climate change. And most we are able to go through the federal government climate change policy. We are able to borrow some things that can benefit, that will be beneficial to the state. And apart from that, a lot of the environmental Ekiti state has also enacted an environmental law, and this one was strictly followed. So then we have other agencies that are also corroborating the work. We have the SEPA, we have the new map, then we have the forestry commission in the area of agroforestry. Then we have other agencies also where we will synergize with, like a Nigerian Meteorological Agency and others. Thank you.
We can't hear you, Princess. It's like you muted yourself.
Oh,
It's like
well, I don't know how this is. Thank you so much for letting me know. So am I audible now? So I guess the network is a little bit bad. Am I audible?
Yes,
please?
you are.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. So yes, I said that the federal level is important when it comes to implementing climate policies. Yes, thank you very much for that, sir. I'll be moving on to Mr. Chris Ike. Yes, sir, please, I would like to know how federal policies has actually shaped your state climate policies, and also what specific areas of federal guidance has had the greatest influence in your state initiative. Thank you, sir.
Once again, Princess, yes, the federal programs and federal laws have impacted and really helped very well in the climate change area or in the climate change space, however you wish to call it, because the Climate Change Act is just like a Bible for us in the climate change space. We look at it, we adopt it, we try to take fragments of it to serve as a mirror in whatever we are doing. Although, like I said, we are at the stage of formulating the policy. We just finished the engagement, and we are still borrowing a leaf, looking at what the federal has done in making sure that we do properly. Of course, you know that whenever you finish it, we will only share with the National Council on Climate Change to have a look at what we have done and give further direction on that. So we are working, I think so far, a team has been set up after the engagement to begin to look at developing that policy. There is a report coming out from that engagement. We'll be looking at it and also looking at the climate change policy and begin to factor all those things in developing the Abia State climate change policy and action plan. Another thing we have done as a state is that we have federal programs have also involved in the area of erosion, because you know our governor graciously the former new map that is now National Nigerian Climate Adaptation and Erosion and Watershed Project. Our governor graciously released the counterpart funding for that project. That tells you the seriousness of the government we have in place in Abia State, because erosion issues as a result of occasioned by climate change is all over the state. We have about 1,300 active erosion sites and occasioned by climate change. And our governor is doing all he can. That's why he was quick to arm the NCA in the EWB through that counterpart funding, so that when our envelope from World Bank will come, we can begin to address all these issues occasioned by climate change. Another way the federal programs have evolved in Abia State is through we are working with the NESTRIA, the Nigerian National Environmental Standard Regulatory and Enforcement Agency, because there is a program that we are working with them on. There is this program called the NGECP and the NVECP, the National Vehicular Emission Control Program and the National Gas Emission Control Program. You know that Abia holds an industrial hub in Nigeria through Aba, and we are trying to see that these are past my neighbor generator. These are past my neighbor generator, and people are doing in the industrial cluster in Aba, all the emissions coming from all those generators they are using to power their production, that we mitigate them. That's why we are working with the NESRIA to ensure that vehicles that operate in Abia State will be at an emission level. In fact, if you are emitting more than what you are supposed to emit, we take you off the streets of Abia. And we're also looking at a case where we are migrating our people as part of our energy transition plans from using generators to using solar, you know, for all those industrial clusters. So that's why in Abia State, we are developing a mini off-grid framework, solar mini off-grid framework. What it intends to do is to make sure that we power on these underserved communities, we power industrial clusters, so that we migrate them from using fossil fuel-fired energy into cleaner forms of energy. That's what we are doing. So we are doing all of that. And of course, you know that the federal interventions have also impacted on us, because Abia also participating in the 17th National Council on Environment. Of course, we are going to participate in the 18th one coming on recently. We debate some of these programs. We debate some of these problems. We talk to them at the floor of the National Council on Environment, and we tell the national, this is what we have. And some of the times they tell us, okay, we do this for you. Okay, let me give you an example. Just like when we went for the 17th National Council on Environment, we brought to the floor of the National Council of the need for Abia to be part of the reforestation and afforestation programs of the federal government. And there, the federal minister, Balarabe Abbas Lawan, directed the director in the Federal Ministry of Environment to leverage us with some of the seedlings, that they will provide us seedlings for us to do afforestation. So that's how we are coming into synergy with federal policies and programs. Of course, you know, Abia State is looking at the National Adaptation Plan. We're also adopting it, using part of it to drive some of the actions we are doing here in Abia State. So those are some of the things how we have factored some of the national policy plan into what we are doing in Abia State. So we are participating in all fronts. Of course, you know that Abia for the very first time was part of the national stock take. The national stock take that just happened, we nominated some NGOs, we brought them in to be part of that national stock take. And also Abia, for the very first time under the administration of Dr. Lesoti, participated in the greenhouse gas inventory data collection that forms
Wow.
part of the Framework Convention on climate change. You know, we are doing a BTR1, a biennial transparency report 1. So Abia was one of the states that gathered data from the various sectors on their greenhouse data and submitted timely to the National Council on Climate Change. So you can see how we are.
Wow.
We've been in all these. Recently, I came back from the validation workshop of the BTR1 in Lagos. So we went there to defend those submissions and to say, yes, that's what we submitted. That's where we are. So that if there are interventions that are supposed to come from those areas, Abia will be counted. That's what we are doing.
Thank you so much for enlightening us there. I had no idea Abia was actually going through that erosion crisis. I didn't know that was even possible in that particular in that area of Nigeria for erosion to really affect Abia State like that because of how high it is on the map. It's really important to see that actually. I just an additional question to this just for like a few seconds. I actually wanted to ask how the Nigerian people could access this data that you've gotten in Abia State, especially when it comes to like the greenhouse gases that you've collected and stuff. Is it possible for Nigerians to access the data, or is not like physically out for us to access?
You mean is it possible? You mean if it's possible for Nigeria to access data?
Yes, sir. Like, is it possible for Nigerian people to access the data? Is it public?
Yes, the data.
Sorry, sir, you're muted, actually. Sir, I'm so sorry, but you're muted.
The data is not for public to hold alone.
Okay.
The data is not for government to hold alone. We are not doing anything with it. We are not going to collect the data to come and keep it in our offices. The data is real-time data and is to inform planning, is to inform investor decisions, so that they will know that these are the issues. If you're having problem in livestock, they will know we're having problem in livestock. And all the data collected in Abia State on climate change, we are going to package them in our investor readiness document, our IRD. We want to do that. So because we have data, because when we came on board, we conducted a climate change vulnerability assessment. What it enabled us to do is to be able to develop a climate change state profile so that we can know the vulnerabilities of the 17 local governments in Abia State. We are also currently doing a climate change community asset assessment so that we can look at the climate assets that we have in the various communities. Do they have a road leading to the community? If an investor is planning to come and establish a 5-hectare teak or the grass plantation as a sort of mitigation climate change, does he have a road network leading to that place? That's an asset. If that community is actually having a heat wave or they're experiencing acidic rains, how can somebody, an investor that wants to come into that place and solve that problem, have access to that? So the data is not actually for government to keep. The data is to inform international development partners and to inform the public and inform the world. This is where we are. So that an investor, people may have funds and their interest is on water resources. And they feel like, I want to deploy some money in Abia State on water resources. Those data should inform those decisions. So answering your question, yes, the public can access the data. If you come to the Department of Climate Change and you want it, or organizations come, yes, we can avail you of those. We can.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for letting me know. Yes, sir. I'll be moving on to Mr. Omar. Charlie, yes, sir. I don't think, because of the nature of your network and where you are, I don't think it might be really necessary for you to show your video, not to inconvenience you. Yes, sir. But then, just in about 2 minutes, could you just please also let us know how your state climate policy has involved in relations with the federal policies and also which specific areas of federal guidance have had the greatest influence in your state's initiative? Yes, sir, just in 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. Kano is not an isolation of the other states like Abia. We work in tandem with the core principles of the federal government's action plan and the policies. In fact, we have domesticated, the policy is being domesticated, but there are peculiarities where we look specific down to the state. So I think we have a very cordial relationship in terms of assimilation of the federal government's initiatives to replicate in our states. Like I said, we are in the process of developing a climate change policy, and we have signed up for the watershed erosion and climate change, the new map project. We are on AgriSal project, and a number of projects that are federal government initiatives. And we have a cordial relationship with National Council on Climate Change. So the greenhouse gas inventory data, Mr. Chris is aware that Kano State came first in terms of compliance when we submitted the template for the data gathering. Although it is a Herculean task, most of the agencies did not even understand. So it has to take you like for ground truthing, going through the agencies to even step down what you've learned from the NPC for them to be able to even provide the data. So, but all thanks be to God that we were able to submit that. So I think even the federal government's project on the FOA project, Kano State has keyed in, and a number of communities as community forests are now under rehabilitation. So I think there's no any project that federal government will bring that Kano State would not accept. In fact, the commissioner is always on our neck to bring initiatives, even participating at an international events like conference of parties. So Kano State used to sometimes organize a side event. I do organize a side event personally, but Kano State government too used to attend all the international programs that federal government used to attend, ONGA and all other projects or programs that are meant for the citizens. So I think even at the federal government budget participation, Kano State will send a delegation to participate at the federal budget. So just to let you know that we are on course, and we have the political will from the state government to participate in all the federal projects. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for that, for letting us know. And due to our time, I'll be going on to our last set of questions. And these particular questions are not like the general ones. They are now specific to each of your states. And I'll be starting with Ekiti State. Yes, sir. Please, could we just a reminder to limit our answers to, if possible, 2 minutes. Yes, sir. I'll be starting with Ekiti State, Mr. Akinola Babatunde. Yes, sir. Ekiti State ranked 4th position in the 2024 Climate Governance Performance Ranking, as you had stated before, which is very, very commendable. And according to the report, the state is amongst the few states with a functional climate action plan. Can you please elaborate in 2 minutes on the impact of having this action plan on your climate project implementation and monitoring, which significantly contributed to your high ranking? Could you please just let us know on that, sir? Thank you.
Thank you. So in Ekiti State, we have a climate change action plan in place, which was strictly followed, and a lot of activities are taking place. that has attributed to our being ranked as a fourth, because most of what was contained on the action plan was being carried out in Ekiti. A lot of things. Now, presently now, the state government, in order to minimize the risk as a result of climate change, the state government is planning to set up a climate finance or climate insurance policy, because there are some risks that are associated with weather-based, just like the one that happened in Maduguri in the area of flooding. Then, in the area that like the flooding that occur in the northeastern part of the country, when they have a climate insurance policy in place, that one will take care of that. And aside that, we are in the State House of Assembly. We have a environmental committee which also handle issues related to climate change. Then we have we also synergize with other states to be on the same page with them in carry out the climate change action policy.
Thank you very, very, very much for that, and also keeping the times. The Ekiti State, it's very, very impressive to hear what we have heard. That is why I always commend organizations just like Climate Action Africa for gathering stakeholders in several states to have this kind of conversation. Because without conversations like this, we would not know what's actually happening. Like, I didn't know Abia State was actually having immense erosion problems, which is very, very shocking to hear. Thank you once again to Climate Action Africa for actually having this particular discussion. I'll be moving on now to Kano State, Mr. Omar. Now that we have you here, yes, just in 2 minutes, Kano ranked 35th, which is actually considerably low. But according to the report, Kano's climate policies and action are still under development, like you had stated, sir. So, can you just please elaborate a little bit more in 2 minutes the challenges that actually hindered Kano from advancing its climate governance framework, and also the steps that has been taken? And I believe you've actually even about these.
Yes. Thank you very much. Sorry for the noise, but once again. Like I said, you're aware that when I was posted, it was in October, and before October last year, that's when I assumed office, and October, November, we went. I usually attend COPs, so we went COPs. After we came back, we started this process of climate change policy in February this year, and you see this is September we are in, and we already have a draft. So actually that time I was instrumental to even advocating through Professor Okereke and other people. We advocated for sharing the forms, but that time Kano State was not even ready for the climate change policy. It was when we assumed office that we realized that this is not in place, and we kickstart action. But I believe next year, probably the ranking Kano may be the first, because the Kano State governor took it personal by summoning all the relevant stakeholders as to why Kano State was ranked 35th. So, but with the explanation and what he has received from the Nigerian Governors Forum, at least we've been vindicated, because we are already on action, and we have a number of policies that are coming immediately after the climate change policy and the action plan. We intend to have low carbon emission and a lot of other policies that will bring us back on track. And I think with what we are doing with FPDO, I think we are in track. Thank you very much. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you very much. I heard everything you said. And I mean, for Kano State to even just start up the implementation process in February, and now it's September, and you already have a draft. It's very impressive. I'm very sure by next year, Kano State will be part of the top, part of those on top 5. I won't be surprised if I see Kano on top 5. Thank you very much once again, Mr. Omar. And yes, Mr. Chris, I'll be moving on to you. I always call Abba the China of Nigeria. And, I mean, it's such an industrial hub to have. I don't think an industrial hub like that exists in West Africa, which is very impressive. And to even hear that you're trying to even reduce the amount of generator used in Aba and also in the industrial, in all the several industries is really impressive. And here that the question even states here that Abia ranks 8th position, which is very amazing. The state is noted for having focal persons in climate action at the local government level and maintaining regular interministerial climate meetings. In 2 minutes, sir, can you please let us know how have these grassroots and collaborative approaches contributed to the state's higher ranking in climate governance?
Thank you. Thank you once again, Princess. Yes, that actually contributed immensely because, when we came, we felt, they say climate change is global, but climate action is local. We understood that from the onset. That led us to identifying the line ministries that I told you earlier. And when we did that, we felt we needed to also have climate change desk offices. So in the course of the vulnerability assessment that we did, we raised 17 climate change desk officers for the 17 LGAs. The essence is simple. If there are issues of climate change that come up at the local government's area, they can quickly translate climate issues to us. And, because we have a lot of capacity, we have bigger capacity than people at the local level. So we can bring our expertise, even if we are not bringing money to tackle those climate change issues. We can bring technical expertise. We can say, do it this way, to adapt or to build their resilience on climate change. And also, it was fine for us to have those climate change desk offices, in place because we needed to also transmit in real time information from the national to our local populace that needed, to have those information. That's the essence, and it has helped because so many of them have come to us and told us, see, my cocoa farm, it used to yield very well, but now, as a result of climate change, see the problem I'm having. How do I improve my yield? And we factor all those things in our budgetary provision because the budget in Abia State now is climate change backed. When they get at the budget floor that are climate change tagged, they pass it for us. Most times it passes for us. It has also helped us. The inputs, the responses we are getting from the locals is helping us because it makes us to carry their mind, carry their impressions into our budgetary provisions. An instance, because of the feedbacks we are getting from the local government, I have made a provision in the 2025 budget to provide hybrid climate resilient seed, for our farmers at the local government level. I have projected that into the level because I'm getting that feedback. Also, because I'm getting that feedback, I'm planning a training and capacity building for rural farmers on regenerative agriculture, because of the feedback I'm also getting. And because also the feedback I'm getting from the Umunnochi area of the state, I am planning to install solar powered dryers, for agro food processing. So those are some of the things we are doing. If you don't get those food feedbacks, you will not be able to, tailor your interventions to suit the people. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So those are the things we are doing. Those are the things we are doing, and people are telling me from the Okwa area that they see, a sees it bounce and floods their agricultural farmland, and that has helped me to design a shoreline protection for that area. So that whenever they see rises, it will not sack those communities. It will not take over the agricultural land. So you can see that the essence of having these climate change desk offices is for feedback, and that feedback make us to develop tailor-made innovations and interventions that suit the needs of the people climate-wise. So that's part of it. I'm just telling you a bit of what we have done. We are also developing 3 greenhouse farmhouses in each of the 3 senatorial zones of the house, solar powered, so that our people, when they have these issues, they can be able to grow some of this agricultural produce in greenhouses, So those are some of the climate smart things we are doing in Abia to be able to, speak to the individual needs of these communities. Thank you.
Thank you very, very, very much for that, sir. It's been amazing actually having this panel session. I've learned so much. I'm very sure our audience have learned so much. So before going into our Q&A session, just please, we would like you to stick around for just a few more minutes. We have a little Q&A session. If our audience, anybody from the audience has a bit of questions. So yes, before that, let me just give a little summary. I can say from all 3 states that we have actually interacted with, the importance of capacity building on all levels cannot be ignored. I believe that is one thing that I can say that each of the states actually resonates with. Having the knowledge in like Mr. Omar said, understanding each role that has been given to the stakeholders is really important. That's where capacity building comes in. And also the aspect of monitoring and control in every initiative that's been implemented in every state is really important. Like you said, Mr. Chris, without those feedback, you would not be able to tailor the needs of each and every community that is being there. Yes, sir. And also like what Mr. Akinola said, having the weather forecasting project that is about to be implemented, that really, really caught my attention, because if we don't have that in place, our farmers that are in the farms won't even know when they are supposed to go to the farm, won't even know when it's the right time for harvest period. And that would even help in reducing food insecurity. It would also even help in reducing insecurity in general, because like you mentioned, the farmer header crisis that is happening not just in the north but also in the south. It would really help in reducing that. I really want to say a big thank you to each and every one of our panelists. Thank you so much, Stars, for making out time to join us in this important conversation today. And I'll actually be glad to keep in touch with all of our state directors, and happy to also support in any capacity that I can to help in the various states realize their climate goals. Special thanks also to Climate Action Africa for making this possible, for also reaching out to me to moderate this session. So yes, my name is Princess Marine. Thank you so much for listening. And to go ahead to our Q&A session, do we have any questions? I've tried to check the Q&A icon. I don't think I can see any questions there. Passy, I believe I can pass the mic over to you.
Thank you so much. This has been a very, very, very enriching sessions. I mean, I've been taking notes. I've been learning a lot of things. Thank you. And also for me, who is not from Nigeria, I'm learning so much about how the activities are taking place in Nigeria and the different geographical challenges linked with each state, and how also you try and implement climate change solutions and sustainable solutions. This was really a very, very enriching session for me. And while we are waiting for some questions, there are some comments here. Some people shared their input. We have Mr. Wale Oguntokun, who says government should also take proactive steps to prevent flooding. If steps have been taken to prevent the effects of opening the Lado Dam in Cameroon when it flooded the River Benue and River Niger plains across my states in Nigeria last year, immediately after the flood receded when we had the dry season, we will not be as apprehensive as we are today, as Cameroon is about to or has even opened the Labdo Dam this year. I feel very concerned by this comment. They're mentioning Cameroon.
Yeah.
So I feel I
I mean,
feel
the flooding that
particularly concerned.
happened earlier. Yeah, the flooding that happened earlier this year was awful. To even know that it was because of a dam that had opened up to even flood. I mean, I think that flooding was also what affected Maiduguri access from that particular dam that erupted. So yes, I think it affected it a lot.
Yeah. Another comment, I think, still from Mr. Wale, I think data should be made available online instead of having to approach the government to get it. This will hasten decisive actions that will work based on empirical data. Mr. Ike, do you want to react to this? I think it's quite a valid point.
When I was for which use and investment decisions. So remember to please approach the just any change if we data noted, very well noted.
I'm sorry, sir. Could you just please repeat? I think your line was breaking from your end. Hello, sir.
While Mr. Ike tries to set his internet, Mr. Fisayo Adeyemi. Hello? Please, Mr. Babatunde, would you like to mute your mic?
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Mr. Ike, the line was breaking a lot when you were talking, so would you like to share with us so we can hear clearly?
When I was making comments earlier about data, I said the data for the public, data is for investors, data is for informed decisions. So I did a set of climate science or students of geography or students, whatever they may need data for the research for quickly available. And the comments are well noted. And I think it's also incentive for my fellow colleagues in the other states to ensure that data on climate change and on various sectors in the climate change space, and not only for the National Council on Climate Change, we can actually use those data to attract funding, and also make it available to the international development partners and other people that are interested in the data, so that they can inform them. They will know where we are. Even our communities, there is nothing wrong in bringing those data and calling a stakeholder engagement of all the traditional rulers and begin to show them data coming from their various local governments, be it on greenhouse gas emissions, be it on methane production and things like that, so that they will know if they are doing well or not. If they are doing badly, they can begin to talk to the people in the language they understand, to begin to do the right things. If that data is being now deployed to talk to the local people, to begin to watch their actions that are detrimental to the environment. So you see, that's the essence of the data, and the data is to do some of these things. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Ike. We have a comment still in regards to this from Fishayo Adeyemi. Says that's a solid point. Data should be open access, which is standard practice with most countries globally. International investors like us might not be able to go to physical offices, which is actually very true. And I would like us to, since we don't have any further questions, I would like to use the opportunity, just as we are talking about data now, to introduce one of my colleagues. Her name is Alice Eze, who is going to tell us something that we prepared for you regarding data. We'll come back to questions. I'm seeing some questions coming in. We'll come back to questions. Alice Eze, are you ready to talk with us now? While Alice is getting ready, please feel free to follow our panelists on their different social media platforms on LinkedIn. We are sharing their handles here. I'm seeing someone in the comment section in the chat saying they left a question earlier. Please, can you repeat the question here? Because with so many messages coming in, we probably lost it. Yes, Mr. Fisher, Mr. or Mrs. Fishayo is asking, how do we connect with the panelists? Can they share their LinkedIn? Yes, of course. You are going to receive all their LinkedIns here in the chat box. We are going to make sure that you have that. We have Ifoma from Anambra State Ministry, who says thank you to all the panelists, to the moderator. Thank you so much. It was a very enriching sessions, but I have to step out. So we are really grateful for her taking the time to be here. We also have Angela Nukwo, who is grateful, who says she appreciates the practical actions already taken in Abia State. That's wonderful. Abia really touched a lot of people here. I was surprised myself when I learned about the droughts, the floods. I'm sorry, the floods in Abia State. All right. Please, is Alice here? While we're waiting for Alice, okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Alice. Welcome.
All right, thank you so much for joining our webinar first series. And talking about our upcoming project, which is on the way called Radar. So research, analysis, data, and action reports. It's our latest project where we'll be gathering data from the different states to better inform policies, to be able to know the pain areas of different states, collaborate with other stakeholders within these states, and make sure that the data that we gather is readily available for people who want to invest in these states to make informed decisions. So we're looking forward to partner the different states, MDAs, and we're always open. So I'll leave it there for Pasi to continue the conversation. Thank you so much, Pasi. Over to you.
Thank you, Alice. Thank you so much. So you understand why I really wanted us to stay on the data conversation before Alice comes in, so that it just goes in line. Because we at Climate Action Africa, we understand the importance of data, not only for the research, but also for implementation. We need to be able to have the right information to know the kind of solutions that are adequate to implement. We believe in sustainability, in sustainable solutions. We believe in solutions that are driven by innovation, but also that are driven by data. Because data is what determines the accuracy of how efficient, or the accuracy of the solution that we propose. So we came up with Radar, and Radar that is supposed to be the guide, as Mr. Ike mentioned earlier, and even Mr. Wale in the comment section said data should be made available. We've understood that so many times we ourselves in the field want to take some actions, but we do not have the relevant data. So it's important for all those who are here to each of you to partner with us on this Radar. We are gathering the data. We are going to put in the work, get into the details, and really find as much data and as much relevant and usable data as we can, to be able to help organizations and help even governments to create tailor-made and tailor-appropriate solutions. Thank you so much. We have Fishayo Adeyemi here, who really appreciates all the updates from Kano, Abia, and Ekiti. Really glad to listen, and really glad to listen to states talk about industrialization, empowering industrial hubs. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. It was our pleasure. So from here, at this point, we are going to still listen to the keynote that was prepared for us by Mrs. Cecilia. Unfortunately, Mrs. Cecilia could not make it today. So Diana Fernandez, who is her representative, is going to read us her keynote address before we get to the end of our session. Thank you. You can go ahead, Diana. You have the floor.
Thank you so much, Basil. I will read on behalf of Cecilia. So she wanted to share that today our focus on climate action at subnational levels across Nigerian states could not be more timely or more significant. As we look at the global context, as the UAE consensus and the global stocktake from COP28, these have laid out and clear and ambitious pathway forward. Among these targets that we find here, we can find the tripling of renewable energies, doubling energy efficiency, halting deforestation, and achieving zero methane. However, achieving these goals depends heavily on the engagement and contributions of subnational entities. Subnational actors, particularly across Nigerian states, are fundamental to translate national climate ambitions into local tangible outcomes. These stakeholders, governors, local authorities, community leaders, and civil society play an important role in implementing localized solutions that support national targets while addressing unique regional challenges and opportunities. Subnational climate action is indispensable for several reasons. Some of them is that protecting and restoring ecosystem is crucial for Nigeria, considering that Nigeria had forests, wetlands, and grasslands, highly important for this country. Climate action is also indispensable for strengthening the resilience of communities, especially in vulnerable areas more prone to have climate impacts. Also, we have to consider that we should promote nature-based solutions that offer both mitigation and adaptation benefits, from mangrove restoration to sustainable land management. The importance of climate action at this level is clear. Without a strong subnational engagement, achieving the global goals outlined in Nigeria's national determining contributions will be more difficult. By aligning efforts with the national and global targets, Nigerian states are poised to become critical actors in this shared effort. To ensure that Nigeria's climate commitments, particularly under the next generation of NDC, are fully realized, we must adopt a multi-level, whole-of-society approach. This approach should be inclusive, cooperative, and responsive to the specific needs of states, municipalities, and communities. As COP28 demonstrated, partnerships between national governments and subnational actors, these are essential for the climate resilience and effective actions. For example, the newly endorsed Coalition for High Ambition Multi-Level Partnership for Climate Action, or well known as CHAM. This is a key initiative that can further empower subnational entities. It commits over 70 countries to collaborate more effectively with local governments, ensuring that climate strategies are not only planned but also financed, implemented, and monitored with the help of those closest to the impacts. In Nigeria, subnational entities are already playing a crucial role in climate action, and their active engagement is important for achieving both national and global climate goals. By strengthening this collaboration, Nigeria can ensure that its efforts to combat climate change are effective and sustainable. In this context, the Scorecard of States provides us with an invaluable platform to analyze the climate efforts of Nigerian states, highlighting their successes, challenges, and pathways for improvement. Through this process, we can strengthen collaboration and build on these efforts, ensuring that Nigeria's climate commitments are met in a way that benefits all its citizens. As Wangari Maathai once says, it's the little things citizens do that will make the difference. My little thing is planting trees. In the same spirit is the collective actions for our states, communities, and local leaders that will drive the transformative change we need. By taking decisive steps at every level, we can ensure resilient and sustainable future for Nigeria and the world. And she was looking forward to hearing more about today and to see and explore how we can collectively accelerate these efforts as we move towards COP29 and beyond. Thank you so much on Cecilia's behalf.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. This was actually a very, very beautiful keynote address. I retain one thing from it, which is it's the little things that citizens do that make the difference. And I want us to understand that in as much as we are here representing organizations, representing states, representing governments and offices, we as individuals are also actors to the entire climate change. We are actors to the environment being protected. We are actors to all the things that we are talking about being done at state level. We can do them at individual levels and also improve on the quality of our environment and of our lives. So I really want to appreciate and to thank all of you for this incredible session. I want to appreciate also all those who supported and partnered with us and special guests like the PwC who is here today, and also appreciate all the different states, Abia State, Ekiti State, Kano State. Appreciate Princess Marine, Diana Fernandez, and even we have Hawa Umar. We have Hawa Umar from Africa Enterprise Challenge Fund, who is here with us today, and several others who maybe haven't introduced themselves or let us know who they are present amongst our attendees today. We have Hamza Ibrahim, Fishayo Adeyemi, we have Mr. Wale, and all those who interacted with us in the chat box. Haruna Abubakar, we highly appreciate your comments and your appreciations. So we have come to the end of Scorecard of States Unveiling Climate Action at the Subnational Level, Episode 1. We are taking another date, another appointment together for the month of October, the last week of the month. We are going to have another episode that will be episode 2 of this series, and it will be going on for the next 12 months. So for 1 year, we are going to go from state to state and know what all of them are doing. I can already tell you that for next month, we'll have on our seat the Lagos state government, and they will tell us and 2 other states, Nigerian states, how they have been facing climate action, the different measures they've been taking, the challenges and the solutions that they have been able to implement so far. I want to speak in the name of Climate Action Africa, or our board of trustees, advisors, and my colleagues as well, to say thank you. We highly appreciate all of you being here today, and we look forward to episode 2. It's a wrap. Thank you very much. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much.
So feel free to join us on our different social media platforms. The links are here. Climate Action Africa, you'll find us on all social media platforms. Follow our panelists and speakers on all social media platforms, please, and also continue the conversations. Thank you so much. Thank you.